Hey guys, I decided to do a different format today by actually recording some video. So it's my first time doing this, so if it comes out kind of weird, I'll try to correct it for then the next video when I do it like this. But I just wanted to kind of discuss something about comic book shops that I've noticed. I feel that the current state of comics is the future is going to be digital, right? That's kind of been seen with just bookstores in general. A lot of people go and buy comics digitally on Comixology or Google Play Books, whatever format that you're interested in. But I think having brick and mortar shops is important. It'll change. Maybe it'll be a little different, kind of more of a novelty shop thing. But I really feel that it's something that should stick around from the future. Here's some of my thoughts or reasons why. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. If you have something to add on, let me know in the comments. Just want to make this kind of like a discussion format. Quick thing. These comics right here are some things I found in the discount 25-cent bin at my shop. And what's neat is that you'll find some diamonds in the rough that you've never heard of. I've never heard of Sword of the Swashbucklers. I've heard of Alien Legion because of there's a guy on Twitter. I think his channel's called Cool Comic Book Art. I think he's posted stuff like this. And I think there's a book named Icon that I forget the writer's name, but Diversity in Comics was talking about the guy who did the art on this, and he had done something with Epic Comics, which was an imprint at the time. Both of these, Sword of the Swashbucklers, I wanted to get the next issue because it's fun. It's a fun sci-fi pirate story, which seems like it's simple, but a lot of comics have tried to do that. I don't know. It's something so simple that it should work, but sometimes people have to overcomplicate things. Just because something's complicated doesn't necessarily mean it's better. The original trilogy of Star Wars was pretty straightforward: good and evil. The hero's journey, right? That doesn't make it bad. Original trilogy is beloved by a lot of people. So just because something's simple doesn't mean it's bad. That's my whole point with that. Also, I've been kind of getting back into the Fantastic Four. I've seen this Comics Explain? Yeah, Comics Explain. I always kind of get the names confused with Comic Historian. Two different guys, but both have really good content. He did Jonathan Hickman's New Avengers and also Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four. So I started, getting interested in the Fantastic Four, and look, there are no Fantastic Four comics, so I started kind of going back and reading older stuff. And the Marvel 2 one even got me more interested getting back into the Fantastic Four. So I found this in the discount bin as well, all of this. And I haven't finished it because it's kind of a dense read. This is John Byrne. The guy's art is amazing. He's done stuff with DC and Marvel. He's unfortunately his personality is kind of one of those guys. If you don't agree with me, you're stupid. He's kind of short-sighted. But just looking at his art in itself, I think, did he write this as well? I'm not sure. It's kind of hard to find who writes this stuff because it doesn't have like a splash page. But yeah, you get a cool story with the Shi'ar Empire. With Galactus, you get this older Iron Man comic when Iron Man was Iron Man. And I'm not one of those people that like, Riri Williams was always a trash character. She's one of those examples where a character could have been really good, but the writing was so awful, so unoriginal for her character that it just kind of fell apart. I have a friend that was really into it. And he's still collecting it, but he's kind of started to notice some issues. It could have worked really well if they would have gave her a spin-off comic, have her like a limited series, throw on her team book. It could have been something really neat, but unfortunately, it didn't happen that way. I don't know what's gonna happen now since Brian Michael Bendis is no longer with Marvel. But yeah, even the Iron Man comics, which I've tried to get into the older stuff from the 80s. It's kind of been hard, but this I found was really fun. I always liked this Iron Man suit from the 90s. It maybe part of the reason is because it's the suit that's from the Marvel superheroes games, fighting games, and Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I really like that the design, but it's just fun, and I think so many people get wrapped up in trying to put a message in a book that they forget this is a form of entertainment, and it should have good art. Even Alien Legion, which what did it run for 40 issues, 35 issues? This one comic is really dense. It's Epic Comics Marvel imprint, and it's got a cool story. These guys get to this planet. It's kind of like a cross between Starship Troopers and a couple other just sci-fi stories with aliens trying to work together, Star Trek, all that type of stuff. But the characters are written interested. You know, everybody's different. You've got the standard, you know, straight arrow good guy. You've got the guy that's kind of really to the book, kind of seen as a jerk. You know, the toughest nails guy that's like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. But everybody has their own story. Some of them have been rebels. You've got Sword of the Swashbucklers, which is an interesting sci-fi pirate story. And here's the thing to notice. Even for these books that were not popular, the writing was competently done, and the art was pretty solid, even if it wasn't the best artist on a book. The art was pretty good. You've got, I forget her name. This is a girl. She has superpowers, and she can use the elements, so she can flame one like the Human Torch. She has hydrokinesis. All this really cool stuff. That's her aunt. I don't know how that works. I think there was a miniseries before this. Even though this is like the first issue, it's not this is the first ongoing issue. Even for this Marvel Comics Presents with Havoc, the art is pretty solid. The cover art looks kind of a little wonky. I'm not too crazy about that. But it's got Havoc. It's got a fun story. You've got I think there's even a Black Panther comic in here. This is one of those 3 stories in one. I think this came out in '86 or something. So you got Black Panther. I don't know who this is. Don't know who that is. But it was kind of like those Marvel premiere type things where it had multiple stories. This one was kind of like a defective comic. You can even tell that it got cut off at the bottom with the printer. So that's why like they just say, hey, whatever, we can't really sell this for much. But it's just, you don't necessarily get this online. Yeah, you can get deals and stuff like that, but just having, sometimes I just want a solid paper copy of something to flip through. Not only that, you can just share this with friends. I was like, hey, this is not really that good. This isn't really, this is good. Check this out. Go ahead and give this a read. Hey, I found this. Grant Morrison's X-Men, which I have. Also a whole bunch of other comics. I mean, there's even some comics. Let me grab this real quick. Some comics like, hey, Batman White Knight. I got the variant cover. Book and boarded it. It's really good. It's 8 issues. I have no problem. You know, I have limited space, but there's something about having the solid book and be able to share it with others. And even just discussing with people that work there, it's kind of like a hub for people that want to just talk about things that they like and what they think are going on with Marvel, what's going on in DC, the movies. And it's like, hey, yeah, this is a pretty good run of a comic. You should check this out. I love Frank Miller's Daredevil. There's some stuff with indies that's really interesting that maybe you haven't heard of. Even smaller publishers that have really good, talented people, but it's not the big 2 or the bigger indie developers, so you might not have heard of it. And even though we have Twitter and other social media to discuss these ideas, sometimes it doesn't, face-to-face interaction with people can't really be replicated. And don't get me wrong, even though Twitter has a lot of problems and it can be accessible at times, you have some really pe- cool people that like to share these things that they're into. So yeah, I just really hope that even though there might be some shops close up, and I really hate that that's gonna happen. I think that's life. But I really do want some stores to stay open. Whenever I hear that a comic book shop closed, I'm just like, oh, I hate that happens. But unfortunately, certain comics aren't selling, so when they get this product, they can't move it, and it's a business, and they get stuck with stuff that doesn't sell, and they have to deal with just the logistics and the logistics and economics of running a business. So hopefully, I don't know, certain publishers understand that, or at least you can get rid of the people that don't and get people that do realize that this customer service is an important thing of running a business. Comics is a business. Even if there's some people that are, jerks on there, and there's some people that, trash on Marvel, and they have a lot of good points, and I agree with a lot of those points. But when you start just harassing people, even though it gets the story, some people say, oh, you're harassing me because of, you're against diversity. That's surely not true. If you look at the comments, they're like, hey, this is not good, why are you doing this? And they call it harassing. That's bogus. But when you just have people just go out their way to completely just attack people personally, when they haven't done anything. Now, if it's like folks like Mark Waid, let Dan Slott, they generally, if somebody's like, hammering them, they generally probably had it coming because of what they said, even though I don't necessarily agree that's the best way to handle it, but sometimes they say some dumb stuff. Let's just leave it like that. But yeah, if you've found some things, older comics, let me know what you thought about them, or the experiences you had at your local comic shop. So hopefully this video turned out alright and wasn't a complete mess. If you have any other criticisms or suggestions, let me know in the comments below, and click the like button and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video.